I still remember the exact second my phone slipped from my hand and shattered against the hospital floor. The doctor had just looked at me with tired eyes and said, "Mr. Walker, we need someone to stay with you after the surgery. Is there a family member who can be here tomorrow morning?" I smiled. "Of course," I said. "My son will come." I believed those words with every part of me. I picked up my phone with shaking hands and called Ethan. One ring. No rings. Straight to voicemail. I tried again. Voicemail. Then I sent a text. "Son, I know you're busy, but I really need you tomorrow. The doctors found something serious. I only need you for about an hour before surgery." 5 minutes later, my phone buzzed. For one hopeful second, I thought he was calling. Instead, it was a text. "Can't. Huge client meeting. You'll be okay. They'll take care of you." That was it. 22 words. 22 words from the boy I'd spent half my life sacrificing everything to protect. I stared at the message until the letters blurred together. The nurse quietly picked up my broken phone from the floor. "Are you okay?" she asked. I forced a smile that fooled no one. "Yeah," I whispered. "I just realized. Sometimes the people you save grow up forgetting who saved them." My name is Daniel Walker. I'm 68 years old. For nearly 40 years, I worked as an electrician in Columbus, Ohio. It wasn't glamorous work, but it paid the bills. It put food on the table. It kept a roof over our heads. More importantly, it gave my son opportunities I'd never had. People say parents are supposed to make sacrifices. I agreed with that. What nobody tells you is how quiet those sacrifices are. Nobody applauds the father who skips lunch every day for years so his kid can join the soccer team. Nobody notices the overtime shifts that turn into birthdays missed because tuition is due. Nobody sees the old pickup truck held together with duct tape because college payments come first. Those things don't make headlines. They're simply called being a dad. My wife, Linda, used to tell me I love too hard. "You can't solve every problem for Ethan," she'd say while laughing softly over dinner. "I don't want him solving problems," I'd answer. "I want him creating opportunities." She'd smile. "And who creates yours?" I never answered that question because the truth was simple. Watching Ethan succeed felt like my reward. When Ethan was 9 years old, he came home crying because another kid laughed at his worn-out sneakers. The next morning, I drove to work wearing boots with holes in the soles. Instead of buying myself new work boots, I bought Ethan the expensive basketball shoes he'd wanted. He never knew. He simply ran into school, smiling. That smile made the blisters on my feet worth it. When he turned 16, every teenager wanted a car. We couldn't afford one, not unless I emptied the emergency savings Linda and I had built over nearly 15 years. Linda thought it was a terrible idea. What if something happens? We'll rebuild it. But that's everything. I know. She looked at me for a long moment before sighing. "You're impossible." "No, I am his father." Ethan cried when he saw the used blue Honda sitting in the driveway. He hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe. "Dad, I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything. Thank you." That moment stayed with me for years. Whenever bills piled up, whenever overtime became exhausting, whenever life felt unfair, I remembered that hug. It reminded me why I kept going. Then came college. Harvard wasn't in our budget. Neither was Stanford. But Ohio State accepted him into one of the best business programs in the state. Even then, tuition wasn't easy. Linda suggested loans. I suggested something else. I sold the fishing boat my father had left me. It wasn't just a boat. It was the last thing I owned that still smelled like childhood summers. Dad had taught me patience on that old aluminum boat. He taught me how silence could heal almost anything. The day I sold it, I sat in the empty driveway for nearly an hour. Linda found me staring at nothing. "You okay?" I nodded, just saying goodbye. "You loved that boat." "I love Ethan more." She wrapped her arm around mine. "I know." Ethan graduated near the top of his class. The day he walked across that stage, I couldn't stop clapping. People around me eventually sat down. I didn't. That was my boy, my son, everything I'd ever worked for, walking proudly across a stage. After graduation, he landed a job at a financial consulting firm in Chicago. The salary was more money than Linda and I had ever earned together. He called every Sunday. At first, "Dad, guess what?" "What?" "I got promoted." "I knew you would." "Dad, they loved my presentation." "I told you they would." "Dad, I bought my first condo." I said, "You just got here." "I know, Dad. It's important." Linda squeezed my hand beneath the blanket. "Don't." She didn't want an argument. The visit lasted just under 4 hours. Before leaving, Ethan kissed her forehead. "I'll come back soon." Linda smiled. "I know you will." She watched through the window as his rental car disappeared. Then she quietly whispered something only I heard. "He isn't coming back." I immediately disagreed. "Don't say that." She smiled sadly. "Mothers know." She was right. He never came back. He called. He sent flowers. He ordered expensive gift baskets. But he never came back. Linda passed away 6 months later. At the funeral, Ethan cried harder than anyone. People praised him. What a devoted son. He loved his mother. I stayed silent. Love isn't measured by tears after someone is gone. Sometimes it's measured by the hours you chose to spend while they were still here. After the funeral, Ethan hugged me. "Dad, if you need anything, I know. Call me. I will." For a while, I believed those words. I really did. The first year alone was harder than I expected. The house felt enormous. Every room echoed. Linda's favorite chair stayed exactly where she'd left it. Sometimes I'd accidentally make 2 cups of coffee before remembering. Grief does strange things. One afternoon, while cleaning the garage, I found an old cardboard box labeled in Linda's handwriting. "For Daniel when you're ready." Inside were photographs, birthday cards, ticket stubs from our first movie together, and dozens of little notes she'd hidden throughout our marriage. At the bottom was an envelope. It simply read, "Not yet." I smiled through tears. Even after she was gone, she still knew me well enough to know I wasn't ready. I put it back in the box. Months passed. My health slowly declined. The dizziness started first, then the exhaustion. Finally, after nearly fainting while mowing the lawn, my doctor ordered more tests. The results led me to that hospital room, to that phone call, to those 22 words. "Can't. Huge client meeting. You'll be okay." I kept staring at the screen until another message appeared. This one wasn't from Ethan. It was from someone I hadn't heard from in almost 15 years. My younger sister, Rachel. "Heard you're in the hospital. I'm driving over now. Don't argue." I smiled for the first time that day. Because sometimes, when the person you expected to stand beside you walks away, life quietly reminds you that family isn't always the one you sacrifice the most for.